everybody, and thank you again for tuning in to the SPG Podcast for our current episode here. We want to introduce something a little bit new to you all. For quite some time, you all have been graciously watching our videos on tips and tricks that we have for the small and medium business owner and how they may relate to your current needs and hopefully give you some insights and helpful guidance in proper direction for how to handle your marketing. What we thought we'd do, in addition to those that will continue, is to periodically bring in a customer of ours to talk a little bit about what they have to offer, but also the conversation will relate to how what we have done, which is some of the very things that we have been discussing over the past, how they relate to her specifically, in this case it's her specifically, to the customer in question. So today we'd like to welcome Tami Adams with VitalCPR of the Tri-Cities. How are you, Tami?
I'm doing well today. Thank you, Stan.
Great. Well, thank you so much for coming in today. We greatly appreciate your time and value that. We know you're busy, so
thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Well, I'd like to, as I mentioned, your company name is VitalCPR of the Tri-Cities, and would like to talk a little bit about what it is that you do in a general sense. Let's start with that.
Well, in a general sense, I teach American Heart Association classes. So I train people in first aid, CPR, and AED, along with basic life support for healthcare providers.
Okay. And how many different courses do you offer?
There's actually 6 different courses, but the ones that are the most popular would be the first aid, CPR, and AED, along with the basic life support. And then there's also the blended learning option that seems to be popular as well.
Can you define that? What is the blended learning option?
Sure. The blended learning option is a situation where people can do the classroom portion online and then just come to me for the skills. And then if they, it makes things more flexible for their schedule.
A little bit easier on their schedule.
Yeah.
Okay. I think I read somewhere you also do a course for pediatric CPR, correct?
Yes. The pediatric CPR is more geared towards somebody that might be working in daycare. And so obviously children and infants, whereas the first aid CPR AED will address child and infant, but you don't get specific training.
Okay. And then another thing I remember reading, the addition of a bloodborne pathogens section to any of the courses. Could you talk a little bit about what that is and how that works?
Sure. There's OSHA standards. So some businesses are required for insurance purposes to have OSHA standards. And so that is just a little tag on to the end of any course that would comply with that. But it would also go specifically to your business. So we would look at what your business model is, what OSHA requires, and integrate them. So
this isn't a course that's just for people who need say a CPR certification. Obviously, yes, that is something you offer. But this also helps with businesses meet certain insurance requirements depending on what industry or so forth that they're in. Would that be correct?
Yes, that would be correct.
Okay. So that should open up the possibility pool quite a bit for you.
Right.
Great. And how long have you been doing this kind of work?
I've been doing this for over 20 years, almost too long to count. But from the time I was a kid, I was in lifeguarding and got certified right away to be able to teach. When I went to college, I took some specific first aid classes. My degree is in physical education, health, and science. It helps me. I feel like that training has helped me to be able to give quality classes. And while I was in college, I did these specialized first aid courses as electives. And so that's been a while. I hate to count how long exactly.
Carried on and built from there.
Yeah, absolutely. I enjoyed working for a local hospital, and I kept all their employees up to date on their certifications. And then people from the outside were saying, I need it too. And so it just kind of opened up the door for me to go ahead and start a business.
And that's the entrepreneurial spirit. You find something you enjoy doing, you find a need, a door is open for you, and you've had the guts to walk through it.
Oh, thanks.
Right?
Yes, so, I've enjoyed it. It's fun work.
And that's the added bonus. So not everybody, unfortunately, that goes into business enjoys it completely, but that's another conversation. Let's see, how how did we meet again? It was the Kingsport Chambers Lunch and Learn, I believe, correct?
Yes. Okay. I went to one of those lunch and learns, and you were doing the presentation, and I was able to go up to Jerry was very approachable. He was giving a big portion of the presentation as well, and so he talked to me a little bit about my business, and we got started from there.
And if I remember correctly, what we initially started with was defining your needs for a website.
Correct.
And help me remember, did you have a website previously? I couldn't remember that.
I did have a website. I would call it a very elementary website that I tried to develop on my own with the use of online people, but I never got to see them, and I just didn't get a lot of support. And so when things would change with technology and needs of my business, and I would try to communicate with them, it was just difficult to have the website grow with my business.
And that's a common it's a common frustration that we do hear a lot. Especially starting out first in business, it's overwhelming because there's so many options, and you look online, you do the research, and like, I can get a website done for this price or that price. And, maybe they're not in my area. I can't go talk to them, but that might be okay. And it's very common. It's very common. And I mean, from our purpose, from our business standpoint, that's why we love working with small and medium businesses, because we're right here. And we have clients outside of our market too. So we get into that a little bit, being not readily, immediately available in person. That similar experience to what you may have had, but we try our best to always be available and approachable. And like any business, you yourself, I'm sure there's competitors that may not have as good of I would call it a bedside manner because you're in the medical profession, that doesn't quite fit you, but quite a positive personality as you may have, and maybe not be as approachable. And same thing in our industry as well. And I think that can go across the board. It's just being approachable, and a good personality can go a really long way.
Yes, I agree.
Well, have you, let's see, in addition to the website, and from the website, if I remember correctly, we had some research to do for the content to make sure we were relevant for your information that was posted. And you also wanted a calendar integration for a person to be able to schedule a class online. How did you feel about that experience? Could you talk a little about that?
Are you talking about the actual development of the website itself, or the crossover to the calendar,
both.
or anything? Okay. Well, the whole experience was wonderful with Strategic because, for one thing, they were willing to meet with me without an exchange of money before we even started, and that was amazing. As I was shopping around, it was hard to be able to find what I was investing in, and so I was able to realize what I was investing in from the get-go. And then when I decided to go with you, it was just a wonderful experience of being able to be interviewed. America, Justin, Dylan, you, Jerry, just a lot of different people with a lot of different gifts were really trying to get to know me. They're really trying to get to know my business, and wanted to project that on my website. Well,
this is your opportunity to let me know on air. We're recording anybody that did not live up to expectations. All right, so that's documented. I can take care of that.
I would never do that, but that did not happen.
Well, good. I'm glad to hear that. A couple of little extras here. I know we did a little bit of help with you on setting up your Google My Business page as well, kind of trying to get that a little bit organized and structured for you. And I remember the day that launched, and I want to say it wasn't 3, maybe 4 days later, your first 5-star review came through. And you've had several since then.
Yes.
That seemed to go pretty quick, and it's not always that case. And how did that make you feel?
It made me feel really great. It moved me right up on the Google index, I guess is what you call it. Yeah. And so people were able to see me from that venue.
But then also seeing that, that external source, in this case, it's a prior student. I read these comments as they come through for you all the time. And just the glowing reviews that people have to say about you, your quality of your teaching, the value of the course. It's just great to read that and see it. And from our standpoint, we love to be able to see a success.
Well, thank you.
It's good. It's good to read it from a third party independent. You know, the student doesn't have to go on there and give a review at all.
Yeah.
The fact that they are doing multiple so far already, and it's been fairly new, and they're all just glowing. And that's just that's a lot to say about your personality and how you do business. And so we really appreciate that, because it sheds a good light on us too. So thank you.
Well, that's wonderful to hear. It's very humbling to me. It's amazing that to be able to be in a position to give training to people that has to do with life and death situations where, you're able to help them make the difference between life and death. And so, and with some fairly simple skills. So it's just, it's very gratifying.
Great.
I love it.
Well, once again, if you are in need of individual certification for your job or for yourself personally, or possibly, as we discussed, there might be some insurance needs to be certified with, whether it's CPR, AED, blood pathogens, so forth, please give Vital CPR of the Tri-Cities a call. Go to their website. Conrad is going to have it somewhere in this area as you're watching this. I can't see it, but I'm sure he'll put it there for Tammy Adams' websites for all your information of your Vital CPR needs. So with that, Tammy, I will thank you again very much for coming in today. It was a pleasure to have you. And are there anything that I left out? Oh, absolutely.
Well, the only other thing would be that I am very happy to bring my equipment and go on site. So if anybody, and I'm very flexible schedule-wise. So morning, afternoon, sometimes people have swing shifts. I'll come in the middle of the night. So whatever works for your business, I'd be happy.
Before we go, we need to address that. I'm sorry I left that one out. That's
no worries
an important part is if you are in need of these services, you don't have to go to Tammy to have it done. She will gladly take all of her equipment and assets and bring them to your location to set up that custom event. Is that correct?
Correct.
All right.
Absolutely.
Well, more can be found once Conrad puts it right here, and we're all good. So with that, Tammy, again, thank you very much.
Thank you, Stan.
You all again so much for tuning in today. And like Alexa says, though, I don't know where she is today. Until next time.